This is not a heavy energy. I know we see the Ten of Swords, and I know we see a lot in terms of the shadow sphere, but this is not a heavy energy. You just have to be willing to do the work. Hello, Capricorn. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to SeaGoat Secrets. Hi Capricorn, I am Kristen and I'm a healer. In this video, you are going to get a full rundown of Capricorn's energy for the month of March and how it affects you and your love life. I begin with the astrology and I end with a card reading. If at any point in this video you feel connected to me and would like to become a client of mine, you can do so by joining this link here and also in the bio. I welcome you. And as you all know, I am a global citizen, and so if you have not already, please let me know where you're listening from in the comments and we can all connect and be a strong collective. Now, with all that being said, let's get into this. Hi Capricorn, so here we are for the month of March. And when we're looking at love for the month of March, I love this energy because we see a lot of, let's say, healing. We see a lot of change. We see a lot of growth. We see a lot of progression. March in general is a time of a big change toward Aries energy, like it usually is, but this is leading us into a generational change where we're seeing Aries go into Saturn during an Aquarius Pluto, which is a lot of fast moving. Now, this is not happening until May, but that's a lot of fast moving, progressive, masculine energy. So as we're sitting here in March, it's kind of gearing us up for that. The divine will start to give you themes tied to what it is that you want for yourself and your future, especially pertaining to the remainder of the year. So when we're looking at March's energy, we step into it with Venus going retrograde in Aries. And Aries being in Venus for you, for everyone, is quite passionate, extreme. It's full of desire, right? A lot of you could have found yourselves, especially if you were in relationships, having a lot of sexual activity, just full of passion with one another. Now, as we step into it being in a retrograde, it changes things a bit. This is where you start to evaluate who it is that you are with and what it is that you want from them. On a positive note, this can be major progress if you are in a connection in a long-term relationship, or if you are trying to create a long-term relationship or looking for one. This is a lot of progress when we're looking at the month of March, because this fourth house activation, along with the way in which we're dancing through Pisces, with Aquarius being overarching and the Gemini and Jupiter being overarching, this energy is coming in wanting you to, let's say, really get serious about the long term, because you're knowing that you are coming from a space of more self-love and self-worth than you did previously. Self-worth, self-wealth is the key here when it comes to this. And love is created so differently when it comes from a space of self-love, when it comes from a space of self-awareness, self-actualization, and self-clarity. And so this is the driving force behind what it is that you will do. But this Venus in retrograde has you reevaluating things fresh out the gate in March. So in simple terms, this can see someone coming in from the past, wanting to, let's say, kind of shake the ground that you walk on in a way where it has you reevaluating that person. Could be having you reevaluate what it is that you wanted outside of that person. So for some of you, because when we're looking at retrogrades, especially because we're also seeing a Mercury retrograde happening in this month, and the Mercury retrograde takes place on the 15th of this month. So it could be, you could see people from the past come in the beginning of the month, and it deepens in the second half of the month, or a person coming in from the past in the second half of the month. But either way, we're still going through a Venus retrograde nonetheless. So where we're dancing between these two retrogrades, people from the past are at a full degree, especially because you have now been released from the shadow period of the Capricorn Pluto, and we are officially in another karmic Pluto, which is an Aquarius. But Aquarius is the karmic Pluto that wants to heal. So this brings up old people, old situations. We are also in a 9-year, and the 9-year is all about the past. It's all about closing out cycles. So the divine in general wants you to do this. Now, this can happen individually. It can happen independently, where with yourself, you're thinking of the past and closing out old cycles and coming to peace with yourself and moving toward relationships that are more practical, more for the long term, someone that you feel at home with. Or this can literally show up in the form of other people and choices. Who will you choose? Who will you be connected to, and why? And the why is, where's the long-term vision, especially because we're going into, we're getting the drum roll of that May energy happening in Aries that really is going to put Capricorn in a place where it finishes off the Aries in Chiron strong. The Aries in Saturn wants you to finish off home, family, generational curses, breaking them, creating a new generational narrative for yourself, healing family wounds. This is what Aries wants you to do, and it's the drum roll into that energy. So who you decide to be with is a big conversation tied to the life that you're creating and building for yourself. And so it's almost in the air. It's like in the belly in that way, right? So when we see this, for those of you who are already in partnerships, this has you guys reevaluating mostly where it is that you want to live, where it is that you want to be, and what next steps you want to take on a very serious level. But you're now coming from a space where it's not necessarily a scarcity mindset. It could be, I want to live here. We should live here. We should move here. We should invest in these things so that we can really find home and family in this particular place. Capricorn is coming from a space that is deepening, like I said, in terms of its self-love. So it's less about Capricorn wanting things for status's sake, and it's more about Capricorn wanting things from a deep sense of self-care. So it could be a lot of you guys in relationships wanting to move, could be into a space that is more peaceful, or places you could find yourself wanting to move out of a more busy area into a more calm area, wanting to get just more practical about your home and making your home feel more like a sanctuary with one another, and no longer doing it from a space of insecurity, but from a space of abundance, really kind of realizing what you guys deserve. Like I said, for those of you who are singles, or at the tinge of beginning in terms of who it is that you want to be with, or the beginning of the relationships, this comes with a deepening as well, but it's a deepening tied to choice. Okay. The past is a conversation. So if you are finalizing the relationship that you want to have now moving forward, it's because you're looking at your past dynamics, closing out those cycles and communicating them to whoever it is that you are with now. But these communications are not necessarily happening so easily. There's a lot of resistance and a lot of retrogrades. We've got two big eclipses happening here. We've got the full moon total lunar eclipse happening in Virgo, and we've got the new moon partial solar eclipse happening in Aries at the end of the month. So the first half of the month awakens the 9th house. The second half of the month awakens the 4th house. So again, this is also big for those of you who are in relationships or looking to partner with people who speak a different language than you, who are foreign to you, who come from a different culture than you do, and really understanding cultural differences, understanding the kind of projection and path that you want to create for yourself through those cultural differences, or again, through those belief system differences. And overall, this energy is quite big in terms of that respect. When we're looking at the total eclipse, this can be, conversation. This can be a phone call from someone from far away, someone you haven't spoken to in a while. When we see the second half of the month and we see Mercury retrograde and the new moon partial eclipse happening in the 4th house, the new moon says, I'm going to think differently. So you guys can find yourselves dealing with maybe past people in the first half of the month. And then after the new moon, you can decide, this is who I'm going to choose, and this is the step I'm going to take. This is the path that you are going to take, and you're going to take it with diligence, and you're going to take it quite successfully. I can see most of you guys by the end of this month making a choice and taking that choice and running with that choice by the time the month closes out. So I would say March for you is big because it's a huge turning point, but it's a turning point in terms of within and your relationship with your self-love and what it is that you deserve or will choose when it comes to serious unions. But it can find you guys having to make choices between, could be multiple people, or again, it could be between the past, closing out a relationship and deciding to say that you want more for yourself now in the future. But overall, this is a big shakeup energy, and it's a shakeup energy to help you get more serious about wanting the kind of connections that lead more into marriage, or if you're not into marriage, more traditional, very grounded, very rooted partnerships that are very good with communication. Communication will also be a form of conflict this month. And obviously, most of the time, communication is a form of conflict. But what I mean by that is conflict surrounding how you guys communicate with each other. And you could also find yourself being a little bit compassionate, but maybe a little bit more demanding, because we're looking at Aries about wanting to communicate a certain way, wanting answers for certain things, demanding again about wanting to be only wanting serious home-based partnerships, somebody you can really build with, and then measuring that and being clear on that, and that being the root of your decision making outside of, let's say, infatuation or just love or status as well. It's you want to build a home with someone, and that comes from a lot of the post trauma wounds of your Pluto shift. The increase in your self-worth, self-wealth really wants to build home. So that's what I love about this energy, and it's a lightening in terms of the relationship you have with love. Doesn't mean it doesn't come with challenge, but it comes from a space of more empowerment and a space of really understanding the depths of love, in a way of really wanting, the most comfortable and honest connection that you can create, the one that makes you feel the most like yourself, which is very nice. So that's what I have for you in terms of the astrology, and we're going to get into the reading now. Okay, Capricorn, so here we are with your love reading for the month of March. What's interesting about this is, well, a lot of things. We see here that there's something painful that takes place with the Ten of Swords. My goodness. So the Ten of Swords sits here with the Two of Wands. It sits on top of the Two of Wands, which lets us know that there is some kind of forward movement. This is forward movement and painful endings. The good thing about the Ten of Swords is it's the end. So whatever pain, whatever difficulties, all the swords have fallen, and there isn't anything else to have happen here. However, I do have to admit that this could also be some form of betrayal taking place when we see the Ten of Swords. But with it being clarified by heart with a key and being strategic and gambling, I don't necessarily believe this is betrayal at this point. It feels like a painful dynamic, a painful situation that has probably been prolonged at this point and is asking to come to an end. Painful situation that has been prolonged and asking to come to an end. And then we see welcoming a heart with a key. Welcoming love, and forward movement toward that love. Now that all the swords have fallen, now that all this pain is being addressed. Pain is being addressed here. Pain is being addressed. And you must be strategic through this understanding of this pain that is being acknowledged, this pain that is being moved through. In your shadow, we have, let's just say, the death, right? Normally known as the death in reverse. And we have La Lune, we have the moon upright. So death in reverse, moon upright, in terms of what's in your shadow. So we see that because your shadow has major arcanas, whereas your subject has minors, you are very fearful. There is some serious fears and anxieties moving inside of you when it comes to what is sitting in your shadow. You're worried that something isn't going to transform. And also with in the moon sitting in that space as well, it's like there's just a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of things on your mind. You want something to transform, and you are scared that it will not die to be reborn, in that sense, like as if something is going to prolong. Could it be the pain that you're afraid is going to prolong? When we see advice, we've got visions of life beyond death with spirals of manifestation. So again, the spirals of manifestation, along with this Two of Wands and in welcoming love, we see that there is forward movement. We see that there is progression. There is a continuation here. There are things being created. There's the love that is being generated. But then we see visions of life beyond death in terms of the advice that you need to take. Something is going to die. I don't see like a relationship ending. I don't see like a Three of Swords here. But there's something ends. Well, the Ten of Swords is an ending. It is. It's the 10 swords have fallen. What can be had? What can be felt now that those swords are done? Now that all the pain is here, now that all the pain has been addressed, now there's nothing else on the table. I can't help it. We're going to keep going into this, but I can't help but feel like this is you addressing pain, and moving through this strategically, addressing pain as you welcome in love. So for some of you, this can be you guys in your connections revisiting painful situations with each other, working through a painful, let's say, truth with each other, working through pain that has taken place in your connection with one another, and your fear is that, again, it cannot be transformed. This is weighing on you, weighing on your mental in such a deep way, because you want to progress forward. You both want to move forward, but it's a gamble. You want to move forward, but it's a gamble. But understand there is more to be said now after the death of things. Yeah, things aren't the way they used to be. Things ended. Your connection needs to be revived. You're afraid of the death, right? You're afraid of not getting death, not getting that rebirth. But the advice is, in fact, that very thing: rebirth, visions of life beyond death. So what it is that you fear you will not receive is clearly the advice that is sitting right in front of you, that this can, in fact, be reborn, that this can be revived. It can allow itself to die, to be awakened yet again. And that is where your forward movement with spirals and manifestation come in. You don't have to give up. It's interesting because we saw that when it came to the personal reading, right? Like a similar energy. And then the personal sits in the subconscious mind. And so it's like, what is it that you think needs to end that doesn't need to end? Address this pain. Face this pain. Move through this pain in order to move forward. There are visions of life beyond death. There is more on the horizon. There can be more. When we look at Pearl of Sharon, that is all about understanding how to have the dark submit itself to the light. Taking responsibility for your experiences empowers you. And I love this card because it always comes in when it says that something is about to be transformed. Something that was once negative is being submitted to the positive. Something that was once painful is being submitted to the light. And it comes from you taking responsibility. It comes from you really taking this, holding it in your hand, and really moving through it. Hold on. Pearl of Sharon is a water energy. Taking responsibility for your experiences empowers you. You are going to resolve an issue through spiritual inspiration and higher guidance. You will rise up in full connection to your spirit and access the wealth of divine treasure. That which has brought darkness into your world shall submit to the light and be transformed. Have courage and commitment to your awakening, for you are a precious being that can go far on your spiritual path. And this is here with an earth energy, perfume of Sophia. So water and earth. Grounding. Oh, I love when water because it's like emotional healing, emotional transformation, and grounding. It's the definition of being grounded, of being rooted when the two come together. You will be able to sense the best timing and approach to take to create space for healing and resolution. Connect to your body and ground yourself in the here and now with bodily friendly practices. You will find your way intuitively and instinctively, even through confusing circumstances. Yeah, this feels confusing. It does, because it's like there's pain and yet still there's navigation. Pain, navigation. Pain, forward movement. Pain, progression. Like pain. having to be strategic. Yeah, having to be strategic, as it says, right? Moving intuitively and instinctively, even through confusing circumstances. There's something here that is very confusing as you're welcoming love, though. You're welcoming love. You're moving forward, but in a really weird way. Where one moment you're sure the answer is no, and the next moment you are sure the answer is yes. Give up trying to figure out the answer right now and remain open with positive but relaxed expectation that clarity shall emerge spontaneously in divine timing. So again, it's like this happened again. I apologize. This happened in the personal reading. But yeah, it's like it's this fear that something cannot be reborn, that it cannot be submitted. Whatever it is that you fear, we already see the confirmation that you don't need to fear it. Okay? What is it that is an issue over here? It's handled on this side. Like it's already been had. It's already been said. This fear that it will not be reborn, it's already confirmed that it is in fact doing so. And there are visions of life beyond death. It is submitting to the light. Okay, so you don't need to worry about that. This pain that you are addressing, this identification of this painful experience, is about the revision of the light within the self. It is going through a revival. And there is forward movement. But you don't have the answers. The answers aren't clear. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Whenever Perfume of Sophia comes up, it lets you know that the answers are not clear, that you have to surrender to the fact that things are bigger than you. Your love life at this point feels like it's out of your hands, like the decisions are being made around you, and you're having to accept that in that case. And you are moving forward, but you're moving forward again as you move through this pain, as you move through the acknowledgement of this difficult situation. So at the bottom of the clarity deck, we have date. So for some of you, this can simply mean that you're meeting someone new. Okay, the overarching energy, heart with the key. And it could be that when you meet this new person, it requires you to step into a space of, again, as you're welcoming new love, you have to be strategic with this energy. And for some of you, it can be because you've dealt with pain previously and you're trying to navigate your own pain as you progress forward. For others of you, this can be a revival in a connection. Getting back out there with one another. Giving things a second shot or a second chance. And then we see the High Priestess as the overarching energy for the tarot. This is trusting in your instincts, trusting in your intuition, trusting in the secret nudges, the intuitive nudges, the divine nudges here. So despite this pain and despite this confusion, despite these swords that have come in and penetrated inside of you, it's like it's having divine faith. It's having almost blind faith in that sense. Like, you know what's going on. This month, you know what's going on. You just know you don't know what to do about it. Or, you can't necessarily maybe have control in the way you necessarily want to, but you know what's going on. You just have to surrender. Surrender because you know. At the bottom of the advice deck, we've got free from judgment, free to love. This is the overarching energy for the advice deck. And I love this energy because it is talking specifically about love. So again, there's something tied to pain. So for those of you that are in connections yourselves and you're going through this pain together, you're releasing the pain of judgment, of not moving forward. It's like you're letting all the swords fall. Like, okay, this happened. We're here. This is where we are. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to get out, to go to the next level, to go to the next space with each other? Let's look at all these swords. Let's look at all of this. Let's heal this. Because there is more here. With all this spilled blood, there's more here for us. We can evolve, but we do so when we let go of trying to figure out all the answers and let what was once bad surrender to the good. Let the dark surrender to the light. Remove judgment. At the bottom of the shadow, more major arcana. Powerful. So yeah, your love life is really, I'm not going to lie, I'm sorry, but it's really putting you through it emotionally this month. You're really going through it because we have 3 major arcanas back to back, and that's the soul is sun, the sun in reverse. in very simple terms, the overarching energy is that you fear unhappiness. You fear, I mean, the sun in reverse might as well be the Ten of Swords. It's pain. It's negativity. It's a negative outcome. It is the doldrums. It's for those of you who read the Phantom Tollbooth, you remember the doldrums, I think it's expectations that lead to doldrums. And in this case, Capricorn, expectations are leading to doldrums because your shadow is really taking over here. Really taking over. And frankly, it's taking over so much that this is why you are addressing this Ten of Swords, because your shadow is taking over so much. Because you are sitting in this pain and this fear, and for some of you, this torture that's going on inside in terms of what it means that's separating you from being able to welcome love. In that sense, you have to address all these swords, because what is going on in your shadow, it's like it's ruminating inside of you, this fear of a negative outcome, this fear of not having happiness, this fear of pain. Oh, and at the bottom, what I love, at the bottom of the healing deck, we've got magnetism of Eros. And as you guys know, Eros was the god of love, the magnetism of love. And this is all about love. Okay, so when we're talking about a love reading, I'll read it for you, but the magnetism of Eros is understanding that two people are coming together no matter what. So when you understand that two people are coming together no matter what, and then we saw in the bottom of the Vice deck, free from judgment, free to love, you two are coming together no matter what. So how about you stop judging each other? How about you release the judgments, release the fears, release the pains from those 10 swords. Magnetism of Eros is a fire energy, the birth of the new one. Trust in what your heart yearns for without concern about how it will manifest. Boom. Take steps toward that which moves your heart. Reach out for what your soul wants and needs. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. For only then can you truly be held. That which appears out of reach or unavailable to you is closer than you realize. That which appears to be out of reach is closer than you realize. And then we remember we had the High Priestess energy is the overarching of it, the deep no. Step into the deep no. You know that this relationship is going to be healed, whether it's that you're already together or you're coming into fruition, okay? Two people are coming together no matter what. So you better sit in the deep no and release the judgment. Address this pain, okay? Address this pain. Look this pain in the face. Walk with this pain. And the more you do it, it'll progress you forward piece by piece this month. You're welcoming love inevitably, despite your fears, despite your worries. It is coming in. It is being, it spirals of manifestation. It's being created regardless. There is more beyond the death of what once was. What was dark is submitted to the light, but you don't have all the answers. So give up trying to have them. Give up trying to know everything. Give up trying to be right. Because you two are coming together regardless. Okay, Capricorn, I'm very sorry because the camera cut off. But here we are. So we have know, do, think, and feel. Okay, so know, do, think, feel. Wow, okay. All right, so this is, okay. No is the Nine of Wands, so you can prevail through, you can push through. The Nine of Wands, it sometimes it can have a heavy connotation to it because it can be the wounded warrior, but the Nine of Wands is somebody who powers through. It's to know that you can power through. You're going to prevail despite the work that you've been putting in and how heavy it might feel. You're going to prevail. In terms of the thoughts in terms of what it is that you need to be doing, Eight of Wands. So it's moving forward passionately, moving forward diligently, making action steps, progressing forward with enthusiasm, What is it that you need to think is the world? So endings are here, cycles are closed. So it's not like we're looking at the death or anything like that, or heartbreak. It's just cycles are closed and new cycles are beginning. So the world is a big transformation in terms of what it is that you need to be doing when it comes to the mind and what it is that you are going through. You guys are clearly going through a major, let's say, transformational time when it comes to your love energy, especially when it comes to addressing this deep 10 of swords energy, the pain or the suffering or the trauma, whatever it may be sitting inside of the self. The old is the old and the new is the new. The world is also lets us know that the cycle is over, the karmic cycle is over, so the pain is over. The pain has come to a close, and I mean, all of these are quite good. We've got the 9 of Wands, we've got the 8 of Wands, we got the World. My only concern is what is it you need to feel, and when we think of feel, the King of Swords is not what we think of. So that means you have to really be on top of your emotions, be on top of yourself, navigate your emotions properly, navigate them with like a sense of almost, I don't want to say a coldness, but mind over matter. Mind over matter in terms of what you feel. Really come from a space of decision, not allowing yourself to be washed away. I mean, this is a love reading and I don't see any cups. No cups at all. So whatever it is that you're dealing with is about major progression. I keep saying progression, but I just have to be honest, that's what it feels like. And it also feels like trauma or pain or difficulty, but again, forward movement, welcoming love, the dark submitting to the light, but it's just not the most easy or simple situation. It is, especially if you are a couple, you are addressing pain in order so you guys can move forward. If you are trying to get into a relationship with each other, you are addressing the ways that you guys hurt each other up until this point so that you can push forward. Okay, if you are single and on your own and you're dealing with your love trauma, you have to address these things and understand that there are no more swords to fall. Across the board, there are no more swords to hit the back of your body, right? There are no more, I was going to say the table. So honestly, I'm just going to say there are no more swords to hit the table. No more swords. So what will you do now? Because you're being asked to feel above water with the King of Swords. Progress forward, want progress, understand that you're going to prevail, and that the cycle is over and a new cycle is beginning. And you have to do so by understanding that you don't have all the answers. But spirals of manifestation, like this feels very fast, especially in terms of what it is that you need to be doing. It's like fast movement. There's a lot happening here. It feels like the more you address each sword, the faster you grow together, the faster you move forward together. It's a very interesting energy. And so your fear of it now being transformed is simply a fear. Your fear of it being negative is simply a fear. They are all simply fears because but you know, when we look at strategy as well in the King of Swords, it makes sense. It's like you're emotionally having to be very strategic this month as this love situation pushes itself out. Especially when you're addressing something like pain or trauma, betrayal, the King of Swords is necessary not to get washed away. Not one cup on this table. Not one. So get through this situation. Get through it. This is not a heavy energy. I know we see the 10 of Swords and I know we see a lot in terms of the shadows, fear, but this is not a heavy energy. You just have to be willing to do the work. Because love is here. Love wants to be let in. but it's a transformational love. So it's very big for those of you who are dealing with reconciliations, or again, trying to progress a current relationship forward. Or if you're involved with someone new, you have to get through your baggage and theirs. Okay? That's the energy. So I love you so very much. Ciao.